Welcome to Pathways, I'm Stephen Bettles. On this episode I'm speaking with Martin Peake, who is from the Phoenix Icon Institute, and he conducts diploma courses in transpersonal counselling and transpersonal art therapy. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Thank you.
Now firstly, what's transpersonal work? What does that term mean?
Yeah, transpersonal work was a term which was developed in the 1960s, and it's a confusing term for some people. It basically means it's a holistic type of counselling. It's a counselling which looks at what we call the spectrum of consciousness.
Yep.
So we look at people in terms of their dream life, their spiritual life, their human potentials. It's a type of counselling which is not about eliminating symptoms, but it's about helping people to become more authentic, more fully conscious in their lives. And it's a type of counselling which means transpersonal actually means beyond the mask. So it's really looking at what the interior of the person is like and how we can bring that interior out into the world.
Yep. So it's really helping people to understand those, like you said, behind the mask, understanding those inner programs and patterns that are going on.
It's a bit like that, but you can imagine, say, between my hands is what is a spectrum of consciousness. Most people live in a small bubble which we call the ordinary waking state. But there are other realities and potentialities which need to be explored as well. And so transpersonal looks at these other dimensions as well as the psychological dimensions.
Sounds fascinating. How did you get involved in this type of work? Because it's quite unique type of work from what you're saying.
It's interesting. It's fairly unique in Australia, but in the UK and America, it's been operating since the 1960s. But I got involved because I guess, like you, I'm interested in healing and human potentials and human development, and I saw transpersonal work as a much better model around healing and around assisting people to heal themselves. And transpersonal also recognises the spiritual aspect of one's life. So dreams and visions and altered states are a part of our expression and development, and these things shouldn't be seen as illnesses or pathologies.
So what sort of qualifications do you need to do to work in this particular area of transpersonal counselling and art therapy?
I guess a couple of things. Firstly, you need to have your feet on the ground. That's very important, so all our staff have to have other jobs. That's true. No, you have to have an interest in creativity, an interest in art. You have to have fairly good cognitive skills, be able to analyse. But most importantly, you need to have a fairly good imaginative, mythic way of looking at life and of people's life journeys. So, and also a lot of life experience helps as well. Because
you say mythical, is there any references to Joseph Campbell and that type of thinking, the archetypes?
Absolutely. We look at a lot of Joseph Campbell's work. We look at the client as they're on their own personal journey, and we certainly see healing as being something which is long term. It's not something which you adjust or treat someone and suddenly they're normal again. In transpersonal work, you recognise that the person grows and unfolds in a very dynamic way, and often we don't know what directions that's going to take. But certainly Joseph Campbell plays an important role in our programs.
Now, the thing that I like about yourself is that you don't put yourself on a pedestal. You're a student of life as well, and you travel regularly to Peru to actually maintain and continue your study. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have been to Peru a number of times. I guess I go there because I'm very interested in traditional healing systems, the Peruvian shamans. I'm also interested in some of their traditional medicines. As you know, in those countries they have a very rich shamanic tradition. And so I often send groups over there. We work with traditional people. We take some of their medicines, have experiences of their type of rituals, and we learn a lot from that.
That'd be awesome. And how do you, from what your personal journey, how do you then bring that back into the actual diploma courses?
Some of our students who go on these trips tend to have finished courses, and they go over there because they get a very rich experience of how some of these shamanic and traditional cultures actually work on the ground. Unfortunately, in Australia, we don't have a lot of these types of traditions. There are in Aboriginal areas, but within an urban environment, it's not. There aren't many places you can go to find traditional types of healing.
Now, what's the major difference between transpersonal work as compared to sort of more mainstream counselling?
I guess in terms of the model, because if we look at mainstream medicine or mainstream counselling, the model tends to be about eliminating symptoms to normalise you. So if you come to me and you're shaking or you're unhappy, I can administer a substance and that'll eliminate the symptoms and you'll go off and you'll be fine. But in transpersonal work, a human being is a bit like an instrument panel of a car. You've got a fuel gauge, you've got your temperature gauge, steering wheel, and all these things indicate to you how you're functioning. So if the temperature light goes up, you stop. And in transpersonal work, what we try and do is if something goes wrong, we look at that and we try and get behind what is actually wrong and what's the problem. Why is the temperature gauge going up? Whereas in mainstream counselling, what often happens is if the danger light is flashing, you just take the plug out behind the flashing light and you continue to drive. You're medicated, you can't feel it anymore. And
therefore it must be okay.
It must be okay.
But in reality, there's something else going on.
No, something will crash down. Whereas in transpersonal work, when something is indicating something's not well, that's actually an opportunity and to explore that. And often we explore it in the totality of the person's life. And not just a single symptom, but you look at their environment, their family, their creativity, their belief system. You look at all these things to get a sense of why is the system indicating through a symptom that something's actually not working, and then we try and look at that.
So you mentioned earlier about there's the archetypes, and I guess you apply archetypes to like dreams. Do you discuss people's dreams that they have? Fears that they have, things that they imagine, or hopes or dreams that they have. Do you apply, is that what transpersonal counselling is having a look at those and beginning to make sense of each one of those particular items?
That's right.
If anything, I picked it well.
No, in transpersonal work is often it's looking at the interior life, so we look at dreams, visions, creativity. Dreams are very important because dreams are often images or personifications of inner feeling states which aren't conscious in the external world. So dreams can tell us a lot about what's happening in our interior lives. They're like X-rays in a sense, and by talking about our dreams and bringing them out, those dreams will relate to things in the person's life. And dreams in transpersonal work are often about things, of course, which are unconscious, otherwise you wouldn't dream it. But if you can bring it into consciousness and look at it objectively, often it can tell you a lot about what the problems are you have within your life and how you're either dealing with them or not.
So what is the role of the Phoenix Icon Institute in regards to the transpersonal type work?
The Phoenix Institute is a company set up, and we have a license to deliver ICON courses. There are ICON courses in Western Australia, South Australia and New South Wales, and we deliver them in New South Wales. In Victoria, sorry. There are government accredited courses under the Australian National Training Authority, and students who qualify successfully can also get professional indemnity insurance to practice as transpersonal counsellors or transpersonal art therapists.
So it's a real profession. There's
a
real certification. So it's actually registered. It's a diploma course registered nationally.
It's under it's registered under the National Training Authority. So it's a government accredited course under the Higher Education Act.
Okay, cool. Well, so what we'll do, we're going to go to a break now. So after the break, we'll talk more about why people would probably want to become a transpersonal counsellor or a transpersonal art therapist, and what that sort of entails. So we're speaking with Martin Peake from the Phoenix Icon Institute, and stay tuned after the break and we'll speak more about the actual diploma courses and how you may be interested to actually enrol and become a facilitator yourself. So stay tuned and we'll see you shortly after the break.